Hello beautiful people! Today I'm going to be talking about my personal journey of how I used to identify as a woman, as a lesbian, growing up, how that felt to where I am today, identifying as a queer, non-binary person. Grab a cuppa, get comfy, get on the sofa and join me. So I want this video to not just be for LGBTQIA plus people, I want it to be for everyone because we are everywhere in the community and I have lots of straight friends. These people kind of need to be aware of how I am feeling. And looking back, yeah, it's been from quite a young age that I've had signs of me kind of throwing the rule book out the window and just going with the way that I feel. My dog is having a good old scratch in the background, so just wait for a minute. I feel like this video is going to be quite important to a lot of different people, whether you are younger or older, possibly feeling like you might be non-binary or wanting to know what that is. An informative video for people that are not feeling like they're non-binary but want to know more about me and how that feels, because it is a little different and there are things that you might not have to think of that I have to think of, from going to the toilet to how I want people to address me, just these sort of things. Let's start at the very beginning. Let's go back to 1990 probably, when I was about 5 years old. And this is from what I can gather with photos and things. All the photos of me when I'm younger, unless we're going to a wedding, I'm generally wearing a suit or a tie, a shirt and tie, a waistcoat, more of like boy clothes. And I've spoken to my mum and dad about this quite a lot, and they just said I would not wear girls' clothes. I'd throw an absolute tantrum and not want to wear it. I don't actually know at the time how aware I was of, I just was more drawn to wearing a shirt and tie, whether that was because my dad wore a shirt and tie and I wanted to be like my dad, I don't know. But from a very, very young age, that was just what I wanted to wear, and I wanted to play football and I wanted to play with army stuff and cars. I didn't have any Barbies or anything like that. So from a very young age, I was more on the masculine side of my interests. Then going up into school, I have a very early memory of someone asking me what Joe stood for, what it was short for. I actually replied to them saying, I don't know, but I think it's Joseph. It's not, it's Joanna. So I think I thought I was a boy for a while, which is interesting. I think I might have told my mum, gone home and told my mum. She said, no, your name is Joanna. I'm like, oh, okay. I'm really not sure how much of this was actually quite traumatising to me. And then getting a bit older, I think then I started to realise like, oh, okay, I am a girl, but I like boys' things, so does that make me want to be a boy? Am I supposed to be a boy? And that was very confusing at a young age, having that language kind of thrown around in that that's boys, that's girls. If you're a boy, you do this. If you're a girl, you do this or wear this. Which, yeah, I really try and avoid. Going into secondary school, I went to a school where you had to wear a uniform. The uniform is, if you're a girl, skirt, blazer, shirt and tie. There was no option to wear trousers back in those days. That's how old I am. And I think it was the year that I left actually, in 2001, that they allowed girls to wear trousers, which would have made my life a hell of a lot easier. Not only because I would have felt more comfortable and not feeling like I'm wearing the wrong clothes every day, but playing football at lunchtime. I used to play football or tennis every lunchtime, and I had to wear shorts underneath my skirt because otherwise it would, obviously come up. I wasn't allowed to take my skirt off, so I had to still wear my skirt playing football. And then the amount of times where I'd kick the ball, and because your legs are kind of like pretty much tied together, kick the ball and then get the other leg taken out, that was pretty rough as well. This is also the same kind of era and time where my girlfriends were talking about boys a little bit more, and the boys were talking about the girls a little bit more. And I just remember saying all these things that made me fit in with the girls. Oh yeah, he's really hot. And like obviously. Whereas when I went with the boys and they were talking about the girls, I don't think they really talked about the girls in front of me that much. But when they did, I didn't say anything because I was like, oh, I don't really know what I'm supposed to say here. But I remember feeling like, yeah, she's hot. More than the other way around. Anyway, I was like a spy. But I do remember getting called a lesbian at school. And at the time, I had no idea what that was. I had no idea because we didn't have sex education, or it wasn't same sex. They didn't talk about that. It was just, I think we had to just put a condom on a banana, which was very useful. So I got called a lesbian. I knew I didn't like it, and I think I probably looked it up. It was like, it was seen such a negative way. So that was quite traumatic as well. And since then, I still haven't ever really liked being called a lesbian, which we'll get to in a bit. I still was playing a lot of sports, and sports was like my total safe space. I think not only because I could wear shorts and t-shirt like everyone else, everyone was all the same, but I was good at it. People liked me and accepted me because I was good at sport, and that's how I think I survived school, which sounds pretty harsh, but it's true. I mean, school was pretty horrendous, and it is for a lot of kids. If you're different, it's hard. It's really hard work, and I'm lucky that I was good at sport and that made me fit in. But I know a lot of kids that haven't been so lucky. So coming up to the end of school, I remember starting hanging out with the gay guy. He really helped me. He was so confident in himself, knew that he is gay, and just educated me quite a lot, and accepting what I am, and it's okay. And so I really value his friendship and helping me come out. So he, I think, was the first person that I came out to when I was 17. And then I think I told my sister, and then I told my mum and dad. I think I cried for about 2 hours before telling my mum. I told my mum, can I tell you something? And took her up to my room. Just didn't force me to say anything, but wanted me to say it. So I said, do you want me to guess? And I said, yeah. She said, are you pregnant? And I was like, no! And I thought, okay, if she thinks I'm pregnant, I think this is a trick that they do. I was like, no, I'm gay. She was like, oh yeah. Well, we kind of knew that. Like, oh, great. Looking back, it's so obvious for my whole life that was my sexual orientation. But I needed to say it, and they needed to hear it. I couldn't tell my dad. My mum went and told my dad, and my dad came up and gave me a really big hug, said that we love you no matter what. So that was really sweet, and just a massive, massive weight off my shoulders. And at the time, that felt like, okay, cool, this is me, I'm feeling good. I started going out with my mates, and we went to some gay clubs, and yeah, having a blast. At that time, it was LGBT, so there was lesbian, bi, gay and transsexuals. I didn't know anyone that was trans. There was no trans people on the telly. It was not talked about at all. And even lesbian, bi and gay representation was very, very minimal. It was still very underground, and people weren't talking about being gay very much. Throughout my whole life, I have had this constant kind of thought in my head, am I trans? Because of the whole, this is for boys, this is boys, you look like a boy. And I've constantly thought, oh, am I then? I'm happy in my body. Being non-binary, for me, is not feeling either. Some people say it's both, but for me, the dog is doing something really weird. He's sniffing the floorboards. It's crazy. What can you smell then? Anyway, where was I? Being non-binary for me is not being either, not feeling either. So although I might not be, I don't have any body dysmorphia with not being happy with my body and feeling like I'm in the wrong body, but I don't feel like I'm a woman. And that is the gender I was assigned at birth, female. Anyway, let's go back again. Something that I've always struggled with is using the toilet. As in going to a public toilet, not just using a toilet. Going to use public toilets, if I know that I'm going out for a day or out for the evening, out for a meal, something like that, if there's gendered toilets, it gives me anxiety. And this might not be something that you've even thought about before. I get mistaken all of the time. The amount of times that I don't get any comments, definitely down here. And then the amount of times that I get a comment is like quadruple a million. So having that in your mind, going, right, if I go to the toilet, am I going to get told off? It's very rare that someone says, excuse me, I think you might be in the wrong toilet. I mean, even that is like, ugh. But it's generally not that nice. It's generally like, what are you doing in here? Or have you seen the sign? Or you shouldn't be in here. It's just aggression straight away. If I was a guy, right, and I'd accidentally gone into the women's toilets and I'd seen a woman in there, do you think that that man would just carry on and like nothing's happening? No. They would probably go, oh, sorry, and run out. Yeah or no? Why can these things not be just met with compassion or some sort of thought in that, oh, this person, I mean, I don't look like the manliest man. There is probably a chance that I am a woman who, or like, you're not sure. If you're not sure, I'm just using the bathroom. Just let me go. Like, you're not naked. I'm not naked. There's doors and stuff. So I've never got that. And it's still to this day, and I think forever, unless there's non-gendered toilets, is going to affect me. Imagine that. How did I get to the point of discovering that I am non-binary? I follow this skateboarder, Leo Baker, who is sick. Anyway, I've looked up to them for a long time because I've absolutely, worshipped their skating. And they came out as being non-binary, I think about 4 years ago now. And that's when it all kind of like, oh, yes, this is me. This is why when I get called a lesbian, I kind of like, I don't like it. And it's because this is the way that I feel. I don't feel like I'm either gender. So therefore, being called a lesbian associates me to being a woman. And that's why I find it uncomfortable. Only in the last sort of 6 months has it come to me actually changing my pronouns and coming out again, basically. And it's because of a few people that I've seen on social media going on the queer community and researching, because for me it was just LGBT and it's all kind of black and white, binaries. Let's get rid of the binaries. There's a whole lot more to it with gender, sexuality, spectrums everywhere. Like from when I remember coming out the first time, just a weight being lifted off my shoulders. Even more so this time, because before I always had that, I don't want to say worry, because this might change over time, and it's not a worry to have to transition if I want to transition. It's a process, and if that happens, it might still happen, I don't know. But for me, this is where I totally feel most settled and most authentic to myself. And it's so nice and it feels so good. And then to be able to tell people, and when people use my correct pronouns, they, them, it's so nice. It's so nice to be addressed that way. And now when I get called she or her accidentally or by a stranger, oh, I really feel it now. I'm like, okay, this is, yeah, definitely not me, and this is how I want to be in the future, and it feels really good. I don't mind people, I mean, yeah, it feels a bit awkward when people call me like she, her, or even he, him. If it's by accident, or if you don't know, if it's then met with maybe sort of aggression or like not understanding, that's when I have a problem. And that's why coming out was, I just wanted to speak to people that I love and trust and gauge the kind of reactions. And then when it comes to people that I don't really know or don't really trust, having words to back me up, basically. It sounds horrible. Like, if you want to be able to tell your pronouns to someone, you shouldn't have to have all this armour in your locker that because you kind of feel like you're going to be met with that resistance. And that's what I would do as well. If I called someone their wrong pronouns, you know, you're not meant to just magically know this stuff. You have to be told. As long as you make some sort of effort, then great. If you go, oh, but I'm so used to calling you she, I don't think I'm going to be able to do that. Oh, well, sorry for making your life hard. But I do want to say my mum's first reaction, and watching Grey's Anatomy, if you don't watch Grey's Anatomy, well, I mean, you're going to lose probably about a month of your life if you get on it and watch it all day, every day. Oh, I love it. Because the last season that I've watched, there's a non-binary character on there. But I love that Grey's Anatomy is kind of like, can be like an older person thing to watch. And the representation, so good. And Richard's response was exactly my mum's response to their pronouns and using they and them. And he was like, but it's not grammatically correct to use they and them. And that's exactly what my mum said. Not like, okay, darling, whatever you would like, and yeah, we respect you. And it kind of blew my mind. It's great, and she's trying, and I'm correcting her. And that's why I think it's important to have representation everywhere, not just for young people. Young people are so clued up now with gender, sexuality, all these different aspects. They're like so on it. Amazing. But I feel like it's like my kind of generation and up that has kind of skipped out. We don't watch like certain TV where it's got all these characters and naming all this new terminology that we need to learn. I think it's mega important to talk about this. If you watch this video, or if you come and get a tattoo done by me, maybe say to your parents or your friends, oh, I got tattooed by a non-binary person today. And they might say, oh, what's that? And then you can educate someone and you can share and spread the love and the knowledge. That would just make me feel so good. Maybe think about your language that you're using with your kids. I just like everyone to think about your language and how that can affect people for a long time. I think that pretty much covers to where I'm at right now, which is being super happy with where I am, my body, how I want to be addressed, spreading the love and spreading the awareness. I feel like this journey is going to be evolving, so I will probably do more videos on this topic. If you do have any comments or any questions or any suggestions of things that you want me to talk about, then please just pop it in the comments below. If you feel like anyone would benefit from watching this video, then share it with them, share it with everyone. There's non-binary people that are around. They might not all look like me either. Spread the love. Thanks for watching today's video. I hope you really enjoyed it. Please give me a thumbs up if you did. Please subscribe if you would like, and hit the notification bell, because then you'll get notified of any other videos that I release in the future. I'll see you next time.